of the biggest problems our nation is facing right now as it relates to drugs is prescription drugs. And it's somewhat surprising because I think most people think about things like crack cocaine and meth and that's where the real drug problem is. But in truth and fact, the biggest portion of the drug problem now are drugs that are so-called legal drugs, prescription drugs that have been diverted. And one of the dangers of prescription drugs is that many young people think, well, since it's a prescribed drug, it can't be bad for me, it can't harm me. But in truth and fact, some of these prescription drugs can be extremely dangerous and have caused a lot of emergency room admissions and a lot of deaths. And as a result, that is one of the crackdowns in the U.S. Attorney's Office as it relates to drug cases, is going after those who are involved in diverting the drugs. Lots of times there are things that the government calls prescription mills. You will have so-called doctors, and they do have medical licenses, that will open up a, quote, pain clinic and supposedly examine the people that come in to see them and then prescribe usually a cocktail of the same drugs, things like Oxycontin and Xanax, and they will prescribe the same group of drugs to every single person that comes in there. As a matter of fact, some of them already have the prescriptions already written out for the drugs before the people even come in. And the way the government usually makes these cases, they set up poll cameras, and they can show that on any given day there may be 50 people at a time literally lined outside the door waiting to go in the doctor's office. And then they will see how many hours the doctor is there, what time of day he comes in, what time of day he leaves, divide it by the number of patients that he saw, and realize that the doctor isn't spending 1 minute per patient. All he's really doing is using his license to sell prescriptions. Fortunately, the government is focusing their efforts toward the doctors and toward shutting down the major classes of this diversion rather than going after the individuals. And they'll even take it to the next step and go after the pharmacists that are filling these prescriptions. Now, of course, the defense that the pharmacist always has is, hey, I'm just relying on this prescription that a doctor gave me. How do I know that there's anything wrong with it? And the government will obviously get all of the records of the pharmacy, and when this one particular pharmacist is filling the prescriptions for almost all of the Oxycontin or Xanax in the entire community, it can be very damning evidence against the pharmacist as well.